Good morning. I had a conversation with a friend yesterday about gossiping and something that I thought was relevant to my experience in terms of how my way of living changed from gossiping to not gossiping anymore. um, and I believe that the reason that we gossip, I'm just cutting limes. The reason that we gossip is because our energy level is so low that gossiping gives us energy. It matches our internal anxiety. That's why we gossip. It makes us feel better about ourselves because it's hard to look within and then face those anxiety, restlessness, and so gossiping for the time being, it's a distraction. It gives us energy because our energy level is so low. But what changed for me was once I started to produce my own energy, which means that I started taking care of myself. That gave me energy. I slept well. I started taking care of my skin, my other aspects of myself that made me feel good. Like I started to focus on my hobbies, my interests. And so when I started to do that, I was able to produce my own energy. And so this was something that I noticed when I was working, was as I started to do this for myself and I went back to work and I started gossiping, and I felt as it took energy from me. And I remember telling my therapist, I gossiped and I felt like it took my energy. That was like a shift for me. And also I think gossiping, what it did for me was that it made me have these afterthoughts. It occupied my thoughts and I felt like it took my energy. And so gradually, as I started to focus on myself and look into ways how I can feel good about myself, like dancing, for example, singing, I don't know, cleaning, spending time with my cats, organizing, or the things that I was taking care of, things that I was doing to take care of myself, then I started to naturally have minimal interest in gossiping. And I believe that this is just like a human way of being, and I don't put judgment on that by any means. I just have the neutral standpoint to that, because as human beings, if we do not know how to produce our energy, then we always look for external things to give us energy, right? Which is why I find that, and I could be wrong, I don't know, but I find that extremely extroverted people who don't like to spend time alone, that's their way of getting energy from other people. That's why they need people. But people who are introverted, and not everybody is that way, but people who are introverted and also people who know themselves, they like to spend time with themselves because they know how to produce energy on their own. So they don't need a lot of external things, external people, for example, to produce energy within themselves. And I find that to be the case. And so now, as I have grown and learned who I am and what makes me feel better and what doesn't, now I'm able to produce my own energy. Like cutting this lime and making juice gives me a lot of energy. And so when I have my own resources to produce my energy, now I don't go outside to get energy from other people or things. It's okay. It's okay to do that too. I think learning how to produce your own energy, I think is such a huge spectrum, and I just look at it from the place of non-judgment. But I think talking about gossiping yesterday kind of made me think about why I don't gossip anymore and what it means to me in terms of feeling good about myself. I find that now I don't feel good when I gossip. I don't feel good. I like to spend my time thinking about myself in terms of, what are the career avenues I want to have? What are the things I want to pursue? How I want to grow? And so for me, now spending time in gossiping, like, it just takes energy from me. And also the afterthoughts of having those in my head, like, I don't want that. I don't want any leftovers of conversations or anything, really. I don't want any leftovers. For me, I want to be within the moment, enjoy that time, and come home and just not have to think about anything. If anything, I want to feel good about that. I don't want to feel bad about it. Because whether, you know, in terms of like gossiping, like, you know, even though we may not consciously know what we're doing, because we're just looking for dopamine, we're just looking for energy, that's all it is. When we look at it from like a non-judgmental standpoint, and that's, it truly is. And so, you know, people are just trying their own best. And so when you find energy in other avenues of like growth for yourself, like, you don't find those things to energize you anymore. And also, even though we may not consciously realize what gossiping does to us, but our higher self knows. And so the deeper anxiety, sometimes we can't even figure out what it is, but your higher self knows. And so you're always going to have that deep within anxiety. So I find that that was a difference for me, knowing myself more, doing things on my own or with other people. That gives me energy. That doesn't take energy away from me. And even now, when I spend time with people or conversations or any interactions, I always, afterwards, I always think about, first of all, how much of my thoughts I'm thinking of the conversation. Because if there are negative conversations, I'm always going to have impending thoughts, because my higher self is my higher self knows. So it's always like something lingering thoughts that doesn't feel good. It just takes that energy away. And with good people, right conversations, it gives you energy. You're able to be within that moment, feel good, and even afterwards you feel good thinking about these conversations or however it is. I went to this ecstatic dancing yesterday for the first time, and I so much enjoyed it. And even afterthought of thinking about this wonderful woman that that she invited me, and I went in. Her name is Anastasia, and I just felt so good even thinking about her. I have this genuine love for her, and for other people too. But I'm just like, I don't know a lot about you. I know you don't know a lot about me, but I love you. You know, it's just a good feeling of this human connection, this bond. And that's the kind of energy I want to be around, where, you know, you don't need conversations all the time to love somebody else. You feel good thinking about them. You know, however they react to you, they act with you, it's from a genuine, authentic place. You feel good. Your body feels good, and you feel good afterwards. And that's how you know who is good for you or who is not good for you. And also, I think at the end of the day, it's about like tracking those things. What gives you energy? What doesn't give you energy? And obviously for that, we have to be connected to our body. And for me, I was disconnected from my body for the long time. So now, as I am connected to my body, I pay attention to those things, and I pursue things that gives me energy. And so that's how I transitioned from a gossiping place. And I'm not coming from a place of judgment whatsoever, because it's important to have judgment takes energy. So I try not to engage in judgments at all, because this negative emotions takes energy. I try to be neutral of like, okay, this is what it is. This is what it means.